So as Russell mentioned, I'm here to talk a little bit about the innovation ecosystem and how competitions can be used to actually advance technologies. Our company, the Institute of Competition Sciences, has been working with a number of organizations, including NASA, on how competitions can uh, drive forward radical advancements in technology. And you heard Bob mention earlier, the Google Lunar X Prize, and I think most everybody knows about the X Prize Foundation now. And they've been a real leader in kind of taking this this new model of innovation forward. And when I say a new model of innovation, it's actually been around for centuries. Hundreds of years ago, people started using competitions, or at least some of the earliest known examples of competitions. The famous one is kind of the Longitude Prize that the English government used, back in 1776, I think it was, or sorry, 1714. But the English government put out a prize because they didn't know how to measure longitude at sea, and this was really what opened up the whole world of navigation at that time. So fast forward a few centuries, and Peter Diamandis and the X Prize, started the Ansari X Prize, and that was won in 2004, and that really launched or relaunched this whole new revolution in how prizes and competitions can advance technologies. It's not only technologies. I mean, it can be just ideas for your business. It can be revolutionizing the business culture and community that you have. I'll go through a number of examples on different types of competitions that are available to people, and you'll see that there's a lot of opportunity for um, increasing the momentum of your company, through hackathons, through ideation sessions, grand challenge kinds of things, and you can have lots of different types of goals, for these types of competitions. So that's what we'll talk a little bit about while I'm going through this here. What we've done is put together a taxonomy of competitions that helps you understand, well, for what I want to achieve, what kind of incentivized innovation challenge should I use? So, there's everything from business challenges to technology challenges, what we call education and engagement challenges, and then down to your open ideation challenges. And the way that we structure this is by what your goal is. So if you have a what we call a business challenge, that could be anything from well, we just need to create a new product line, or we need to do something internal for our business. These could be getting more of the employees, just happier and more engaged in the company. So it could be some of the kind of social side of a business challenge, all the way up to your more technical R&D aspects that you might be looking at that would specifically benefit your company. On the technology challenge side of things, what we talk about there are, these are probably the things that are most directly impactful to this workshop. These are challenges that would be set up to advance your technology goals. If you just broadly want to look at new lunar rover technologies, you could put out lots of different models of competitions that could help you get to the point where you have your end product. And there's a lot of kind of question about the IP of these kinds of things. So a lot of especially the bigger, more established companies are looking at this and saying, well, we don't want to put out a competition because then somebody else owns that IP, and we don't want to help people, go off and do their own thing. We want it to be in-house. So there's this real kind of, tug of war, between the big companies that are saying, we want this to be in-house and owned, versus what is seen as the kind of open innovation space. But what I'll kind of mention is that there's really no need for that disconnect there. Competitions can be structured in a way that make it very beneficial to the big companies or any company to engage in these kinds of programs. So I'll give a few examples of that as we go along. to touch on the educational engagement challenges, these are structured in ways that maybe you just want a lot of people to engage in what you're doing. So if you want to build community, you want to market your end goal. So I'll use Bob as an example. Again, since I just came in at his talk, but one thing that the Google Lunar X Prize does for all of these companies is that they get a lot of opportunity to talk about what they're doing. There's a whole platform of people that are interested in this, that have a community that they can come together around and market what they're doing. So there are ways to structure competitions to focus on those benefits. That you can look at, well, how do we really get lots of people to actually come in and compete for a challenge, and get them interested in and actually engaged in doing things that are then helping you advance your end goals as a company. The ideation challenges that that we have up here are focused on just getting ideas together. So this is something that is really picking up a lot of steam in just the last few years. You might hear about business plan competitions, hackathons, idea jams. And one thing about these kinds of competitions is that they're probably the easiest ones to put on because there's not that super high technical hurdle or things like that. That when you put out a hackathon, it tends to be less long-term planning and long-term structure that's needed for it, but you can still get a lot of really valid ideas and valid information for you to use in going forward and creating the actual technology that you'd be interested in out of this. Then with the taxonomy that we have here, we talk about strategies and operations of a challenge. And these are really the tools that we use to help people look at the type of competition that they'd be interested in. So when you look at basically what types of outcomes you want to have, that will define your strategies. And we break that down into your positioning. So how are you, actually I think we'll look at these here. So how do you look at your audience for your competition? Are you looking at a very technical audience? Do you want it to be very narrowly focused on a core competency? Or are you interested in having a much broader reach and getting people to know about what you're engaging in or what you're trying to do? Do you want to build a network? Is this something that you want to focus on just getting people to want to either work at your company or be a part of the work that you're doing in some way? So that's some of the things that we look at when we're talking about positioning of your challenge. Funding is obviously a big one. A lot of people look at the field of incentivized innovation right now, and they think of these multi-million-dollar grand challenges and say, hey, we don't have a multi-million-dollar challenge purse, so we're not going to do it. But there are lots of other models of competitions that you can use that don't necessarily need a multi-million-dollar grand challenge. And maybe you can break that grand challenge down into a few micro challenges, or a first step of a few hackathons or ideation challenges that can then lead up to a next step. So if you aren't ready to do some grand challenge $10 million prize, think about there are ways to break that apart. We then look at the structure of how you want to create a competition. Do you want it in a one-day kind of get everybody together, be a really intense hackathon and have a lot of fun with people coming together around this cause? Or is it more complex that you need a few rounds and you want to open it up to the whole world and have online competitions that then can be down selected into a final design challenge that people might be able to deliver a product at the end of that? So there are different ways of just structuring these competitions that might be more beneficial to you in one scenario or another. And the last thing with that is to look at the criteria. What are you actually trying to achieve? So are there specific goals that you want to come home with? Or are there just broad interests that you want to gather from the competition? and making sure that that you have your criteria structured in a way that you're actually going to achieve those goals. And when I talk about criteria, I talk, these are actually the restrictions that you're putting on it. So, if you want to have a rover go to the moon, and you want to try to get lots of people's ideas, for how you design that rover, you could put that out there and say, okay, give us a rover design, and leave it at that. And you're going to have rovers that are big, rovers that are small. Half of those rovers might not meet your payload designs. So, how do you create the criteria then to make sure that you're getting the right outcomes for that competition? And that just goes into, well, okay, maybe you want to have size restrictions. Maybe there are communication restrictions. All of your engineering subsystem requirements that you might want to look at. Do you want to put those in as restrictions on that competition? So, those are just a few of those things that we think about when we're kind of looking at how do you use incentivized innovation to advance your technologies. Then on the other side here are the operations, and so these are kind of the general phases that all competitions will usually go through. So have some kind of launch announcement, that gets people interested and excited about it. Then going through a process of actually engaging people that will come in and participate in your competition. Some judging process that will narrow down into what are the best solutions for what you're trying to achieve, and then declaring your winners. So there's obviously a lot of complication within those kinds of things when you get into the different models that that you might be having, but that's kind of a general way that you might look at how you would structure a program if you're going to use something like this to help advance your goals. So here's just a little bit of some how some of these different types of challenges are structured. Within business challenges, you kind of end up having three different models of of these programs. There's pitch competitions, which you get out of your business plan kinds of competitions. What we call the accelerator incubator space, that is a little bit more focused on the business mentoring and the business ideas, and actually taking them through to being a valid company at the end of it. And then a more open solution space, which is where we might include things like ideas coming into the company or engaging your employees more. There's other breakdowns here from the other competition types, but I'm not going to talk specifically about all of them except for just the two differences in the technology challenges, because I think that's really what is most interesting to this kind of community. The grand challenge aspect of technology challenge is really like the X Prize programs. Some of you might know about the NASA Centennial Challenges. Those are what we call the grand challenges. They put out a multi-million-dollar prize or some other some large prize for a revolutionary technology hurdle. And there's positives and benefits and downsides to doing those kinds of things. You definitely costs more money. It might be a little bit limiting in who can compete in those kinds of things, because the hurdle is so large, and the actual end goal is several years away probably. So then there is what we call the stepping stone challenges, and those are ones that you might take pieces of those grand challenges and do an incremental advancement in your technology. So you can look at, do we need some completely new way of having rad-hard computers, or is there a specific criteria that we can look for a stepping stone advancement in? Maybe in the size of the processor or things like that affects it. So those would be stepping stone challenges that you might be able to look at in what you're doing with your technology advancement goals. So from here, I just want to give you a few examples of some of these different types of competitions that you might not have heard about. There are literally thousands of competitions available to people all the time. There's platforms of competitions, Innocentive, Challenge Post, Challenges.gov. Lots of these platforms help kind of attract a community around different things, and they'll focus on, some focus more on the technical side of things, some focus more on other areas. But there are there's a real revolution in just the use of incentivized innovation right now, and people are starting to see that this can be very powerful for them. So just to give a few examples, when I talk about business challenges, something that might be interesting to you, and especially if anyone's from some of the larger corporations. This is an example from a company called Goldcore. And I mean, this is like the stereotypical the man company. I mean, it's a mining company that had giant gold mines in Alberta, Canada, and about 15 or so years ago, they started realizing, hey, we're running out of gold. Our mines are running dry. We don't have any new land. Their stock is going down, and that they weren't sure what to do. So they created a challenge where they just opened up their data and said, hey, anybody who is interested, here's all of our geologic data. Here's all of the information that we know about our land. We don't know where else to go. We don't know. We think we're done. So they put out, I think, about $500,000 for people that could recommend the best exploration strategy to find new gold. And this challenge revolutionized their company. And they had a 900-fold increase in the gold extraction. They went from something like a $90 million company to a $9 billion company, because of this competition. So, for the big companies that are out there, there are lots of good benefits to doing competitions. The Netflix prize. This is another more technical focused challenge that's more of a stepping stone hurdle. So Netflix didn't go out and say, we want a completely new way of delivering video content to people. They have a really great way of doing that. They went out and said, we want people to improve our recommendation algorithm, for people. This got a lot of people engaged in their company, feeling better about being a Netflix member and a user. It was a great marketing tool for them, and they've had significant increases in the recommendation success of their videos. Improve SF is a local one done by the government of San Francisco. They put out a platform of basically engagement challenges to help the citizens of San Francisco become more just happy and involved and connected with the government and what's going on with the San Francisco communities. And these were open ideation challenges for people. And then the last one I'll just mention is what was a power pitch competition. This was done by another really large company, PwC, a big accounting consultancy firm. They looked at their company and said, we have a really low morale. We've got low interest in achieving within the company and creating new products. And so they put together this power pitch competition just internally. They didn't open it up to anyone outside, and they just said, we want our employees to become more engaged with this company and thinking about ways to help the company succeed. So they had this $100 million power pitch competition, which was a challenge for the lower level employees to propose the next $100 million business plan for PwC. And it went through a series of rounds, but the main thing about all of this is that they got all of their lower level employees to get really excited about being a part of this company. So this was a revolutionary thing for the company itself, even though it didn't do anything outward, outside of the company, but it really helped them internally, not only to get the employees really engaged and happy, but they then took, I think, the top 20 teams. They were expecting to do the top 5 teams and actually work with them on developing their business models, but then they ended up taking the top 20 of them and launching these as new business opportunities for PwC. So these are just a few of the examples that that we've looked at as an organization, and I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about this opportunity, using incentivized innovation. It's been developing, the last 10 years, and a lot of people have started to really look at all the different models that are out there, and that what I want to leave you with is that there is the right model for you. There's a right model for what you can use, with your company. And just think about what your goals are and what you want to achieve, and see, well, how can I use incentivized innovation to make that easier? Your R&D costs can go down and your timeline can go up, and that's the power of incentivized innovation. So just want to leave you with that.